Some companies die, some get sold, some get stripped for their parts and create Bluetooth speakers. But a few get smart and just walk away.
It all ended and we had to walk away from it.
These companies created wonderful gear, receivers that could double as space heaters, cassette decks that could survive a nuclear war. This isn't about failure, it's about foresight. 3 companies deciding we're not interested in hi-fi anymore. Philips, Hitachi, Kyocera? 3 brands that built pieces of hi-fi history and vanished before anybody knew they were even gone. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about these legendary hi-fi companies that decided they didn't want to make hi-fi anymore. Before we start the video, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I am helping raise money with audio advice. Please watch this.
I'm Scott Noon, I'm the CEO of Audio Advice. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 36 years old.
And I'm Randy, I'm the Cheap Audio Man, and my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer this year. That's why I'm thrilled to be teaming up with Audio Advice to support this wonderful cause.
We're raising money for families with mothers battling cancer through the Helene Foundation. You'll see a link in the description that goes to a raffle page where we have tens of thousands of dollars of really cool headphones, speakers, projectors, you name it. And then Randy and I are going to do a live stream on October 30th where we're going to give it all away.
The sad reality is that we all know someone that has battled breast cancer, and this is your opportunity to make an impact on real people's lives. Whether you can give a little or a lot, you're going to make a difference.
Philips audio and video components, so far advanced they almost perform by themselves.
Before Sony, before Pioneer, there was Philips. They were a European tech giant. TVs, radios, shavers, and when it came to audio, Philips changed the world twice. In 1963, they created the compact cassette. It was designed for dictation and business stuff, and they gave away the licensing for free. And that one little decision would come back to bite them. But they weren't done yet. They teamed up with Sony and co-created the compact disc. So Philips created not only the cassette tape, but also the compact disc. Bananas. And if you thought that was it, in the 70s, they did something else. They built the motional feedback speakers. Apparently, they were self-correcting in real time. That killed distortion and sounded real nice. It was like putting a little brain inside your woofer. They weren't just part of hi-fi history, they wrote it. But even geniuses can outsmart themselves, and Philips was about to prove it.
We could really be in some serious trouble here.
Sleeping next to my wife is the equivalent of standing next to an operating wood chipper right at the edge of a mosh pit at a Slipknot concert. What I'm trying to say is that she snores loudly. So when I found out about Oslo, I had to give them a try. Oslo isn't just another sleep tracker, it's a sleep system. They're tiny, soft, flexible earbuds made specifically for sleep. And I'm a side sleeper, so these are awesome because these don't fall out in the middle of the night. They also don't make my ears sore. And you can stream anything with them: lo-fi, rain sounds, audiobooks. But most importantly, when you fall asleep, it auto pauses. So you don't have to figure out which episode of Mr. Robot you skipped because autoplay was on, which happens to me. They even have a personalized alarm which wakes you up and not your spouse up. Plus they use noise masking, not noise cancellation. So it gently covers up snoring, city noise, those crazy thoughts bouncing around your head at 3 a.m. like a pinball machine. So click on the link in the description. You'll get $50 off a pair of Oslo sleep buds, or use the code CAM35, or just click on the QR code right here. So get a better night's sleep with Oslo. Link in the description. Thank you, Oslo, for sponsoring today's video. By the 1990s, the tech world had changed and hi-fi wasn't sexy anymore, microchips were. And at the time, Philips was chasing everything. TVs, hi-fi, medical gear, semiconductors, and their consumer electronics arm kept shrinking. Margins got thinner, competition got fiercer, and the innovative spirit of Philips turned inward. By the 2000s, Philips just started selling off their divisions. Audio, video, piece by piece, they sold it off. And by 2013, they actually said, We're done with consumer electronics. And just like that, the company that gave us cassette tapes and compact discs walked away to its own soundtrack. Maybe on a CD or a cassette. But here's the twist. Philips didn't disappear, they morphed into a form that the audiophiles didn't expect.
Otherwise, they would have ruled the entire world from the beginning.
If Philips had licensed the cassette instead of giving it away, their story might have looked very different. They learned that lesson the hard way because when the compact disc came along, they did the opposite. Every CD and CD player sold worldwide paid Philips a licensing fee. Those royalties brought in billions over the next 2 decades. If they'd charged even a few cents per cassette, they might have owned the entire home audio market. Instead, they built the format that made everyone else rich. Today, Philips makes MRI machines, toothbrushes, and smart bulbs. They traded treble and bass for heartbeats in hospital monitors. Their name is still on headphones and speakers. However, it's licensed. Philips doesn't have a lab of audio engineers trying to figure out how to make the best headphone. Other people are. But Philips DNA kind of still persists because every time you stream lossless audio, well, Philips had something to do with that because it was basically born out of the Sony Philips CD collaboration. And frankly, I'm buying more CDs now than ever. Chevelle and the Deftones both just released a new record, and I bought the CDs. Thank you, Philips. Hitachi didn't start in hi-fi. They started in heavy machinery, motors, power plants, trains, infrastructure. By the 1970s, Hitachi was everywhere, so they figured, why not hi-fi? And when they entered hi-fi, they didn't tiptoe in, they did a cannonball. Cannonball! Japanese cannonball! The SR-903 was an elegant monstrosity of a receiver that was real pretty and real powerful. Their cassette decks, like the DX10, had all sorts of Dolby wonderment and enough switches to make a pilot sweat.
I mean, I'm the only one qualified to remote pilot the ship anyway.
Hitachi gear had a vibe. You didn't have to baby it. You could trust it and maybe drop it down a small flight of stairs and it'd still be okay. They weren't delicate boutique amps. They were bulletproof. And they earned quiet respect. Not the flashiest, but very dependable. But here's the thing. While everybody else was fighting for market share, Hitachi was fighting for something much bigger. And that fight was about ready to pull them straight out of the living room.
The sound of quality, a leader, Hitachi.
By the 1980s, the hi-fi market was chaos. Importers everywhere, super thin margins. And Japan's big brands were eating each other alive. And Hitachi had a choice to make. Do we fight for a piece of the already shrinking hi-fi pie, or do we double down on what we're good at? You know, like nuclear power, construction technology, and computers.
I think it's time to go.
And somewhere in a conference room in Japan, they said, I think we're done selling receivers to college kids. So they pivoted hard. They shut down or sold off almost the entirety of their consumer electronics division. No fireworks, no scandal, they were just gone. While Sony and Panasonic were fighting over who made the better boombox, Hitachi was wiring Japan's infrastructure. Today, Hitachi is a mega corporation worth hundreds of billions. They make bullet train systems and medical imaging gear and automation that keeps cities running. However, they have a cult-like hi-fi following. Collectors hunt down old receivers, cassette decks, turntables, because they still work. Hitachi's story isn't about failure, it's about reading the room, understanding that this whole thing is about ready to burn down and they weren't making that much money off of it anyway, and it was a big headache because they had distributors and stuff to worry about.
This is giving me a headache.
And that brings us to our final brand, one that didn't even care hi-fi existed. It was almost like somebody at this company lost a bet and had to make a receiver.
We weren't invited.
Kyocera. Their story begins nowhere near hi-fi. They made ceramics, industrial components, surgical tools, not speakers. However, in the 1980s, well, Japan was making all sorts of hi-fi gear, and Kyocera figured, All right. They bought a small audio company called Cybernet.
Built for SAC NORAD by Cyberdyne Systems.
They assimilated all of those audio engineers and ended up making some of the most underrated amps of all time. The A710 and 910 were some beautiful integrated amplifiers. Gorgeous, thick aluminum and ceramic panels that killed vibration. They sounded clean, tight, and expensive because they were expensive. But great design, great sound means nothing if the world doesn't care, and the world didn't care.
I realize this is terrible timing, but I don't have a choice.
Kyocera hit the market at the most terrible time you could hit the market because it was pretty much right before the Japanese hi-fi bubble burst. Hi-fi went from a status symbol to a niche hobby almost overnight. Kyocera's amps cost more than most people wanted to spend, and the average buyer was moving to mini systems and portable compact disc players. Kyocera could have chased more affordable gear, but that wasn't their style. They were perfectionists, engineers first, marketers never. And by the early 1990s, Kyocera pulled the plug on their hi-fi endeavor. No bankruptcy, no fire sale, just a quiet fade into the industrial background. And that background, turns out it was where they were supposed to be all along. Today, Kyocera is a global manufacturing powerhouse. They make everything from cell phones to solar panels and even ceramic parts that go in other people's hi-fi gear. Their audio era was short, just about a decade. But collectors, love them some Kyocera vintage hi-fi gear. And pretty much everybody says, why did they stop? The answer is simple. Because they could. Kyocera didn't fail in audio. They kind of perfected it, got bored, and left.
Let's go, I'm bored, let's go.
It was fun while it lasted, wasn't it, Vic?
Hitachi, Philips, Kyocera. 3 giants, 3 exits, 3 lessons. Hitachi saved itself by walking away. Philips evolved beyond its own inventions, and Kyocera realized that they kind of were crashing this hi-fi party to begin with. These companies didn't lose the game, they changed the game. And what's wild is they still have so much influence over this hobby. Every cassette, every compact disc. They were the hi-fi empires that could have been. But what makes these companies legendary today is that they knew when to turn down the volume and walk away. If you like this video, why don't you check out my video about Onkyo, Kenwood, and Aiwa. I'll link it right up here. I'll also link the history of Yamaha right here. Did you know the guy that started Yamaha was the son of a samurai? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and maybe send it to a friend. Thank you so much for watching.
Back in that bag again. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Hey. Back in that, yeah. Tell them to watch it. Now I ain't talking my pockets. Just know we ain't running out the way that we stock it. If I got it, you got it. If I